And record. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sonic Talk number 274. It's live here, live and direct at sonicstate.com/live, where you can get the live chat room and the live video stream if you are having the bandwidth enough. I'm here in the Sonic office. I've got the little Kemper profiling amp, which has just come in for review, which I'm not going to attempt to play because I cannot play guitar well enough at all, but it will be coming soon. I want to say thank you very much to all my guests who are joining us this week, and we'll start with Rich Hilton because Rich is once again in from somewhere exotic, out on the road with Chic, where he's playing keyboards, and when he's not playing keyboards with Chic, he's working with Mr. Nile Rodgers in his private studio. How are you, Rich?
Very well, thank you.
And so you're in a big hotel. You're in a hotel in Montreux where are you playing tonight?
Okay, let's turn off the picture and see if that helps.
Unfortunately we're suffering from hotel bandwidth, which is what kind of did for us last week. Hopefully Rich will be able to maybe pick it up now that he switched the video off. Then we should be able to get a little bit more out of him. So how are you, Rich? Can you hear me? Come in.
I'm okay. I'm good. And yes, I'm in Montreux, Switzerland with Chic.
Excellent. We did a quick test call earlier, at which I, amongst almost everybody you've probably told, sang a few lines of Smoke on the Water, right?
Yeah, it's a popular theme when the subject of this city comes up.
So will there be any temptation to play that riff on stage tonight or at the sound check?
Certainly not for me. If I had a Stratocaster in my hand, I'd be tempted. But no, it's.
So is it just?
It provoked a debate on my Facebook page about what the proper lyrics were. People wanted to argue about it. It was really kind of sad.
I have no idea. I just remember it being one of those iconic riffs from my youth. So you just only on the bill tonight, or who else is on the bill?
We're not on the bill tonight. We're on the bill Friday night.
Ah, right. Okay.
And it's a star-studded extravaganza full of guests.
So does that mean you get to hang out in Montreux for a couple of days, or are you in and out?
Yeah, we got here on Monday, and I've been rehearsing every day.
Oh, cool.
Because it's a rather elaborate show, and we've got a bunch of guests, and some of what we'll do is not the standard Chic thing, and we'll do all of that too, but there's other stuff to do, and in order to pull that off, especially in the middle of a tour, you've got to do some rehearsals.
Yeah, and also they televise it, don't they, and DVD it and all those things, right?
It'll be around long after I'm gone.
So you want to get it right.
You'd like to, yeah. You hope to, and have it looking good as well. But today we had a rehearsal with Miss Ellie Jackson, who is in the band LaRue.
Ah, okay.
We're very popular, and she came along, and we did some work with her. And then we're also going to be joined by Alison Moyer, who's obviously well known for her work with Vince Clarke.
She's got a great voice, actually. Brilliant stage presence. I know Failed Muso, who's in the chat room, congratulations on the new job, by the way, Failed, is a big fan of her and will probably be very pleased. I think he's got a bit of a torch for her. In fact, he's saying, Alf, she's so hot. So there you go. I'd say that's affirmative.
And perhaps on the week in which a man gets a new job, it wouldn't do to call him failed.
No, he would be. Well, I suppose it's not a job as a musician. So I think that would be debatable, So maybe it's, yeah. I'll call him Rob for now because that's probably better. Anyway, Rich, thank you very much for joining us. I hope that your bandwidth can hold out, and I appreciate it muchly. So we'll now go to our next guest, who is Gaz Williams. Let's see if I can get him in there. There you are, Gaz Williams, who's over there in sunny Bristol.
It is sunny today.
Good Lord, I can't tell. I've actually had to tape everything down because I'm trying to get the get the lighting right in here. I'm going to do this. I've got a new gantry up there, which I've put at the other end of the room. This is so that we can do the Sonic Touch show, and I've got various lights hanging up there to kind of make it a bit more easy for me to not look so red. And I've also got, after much merriment from the red balance, the white balance jokes last week, which people seem to really enjoy, I've now fixed the white balance of the camera. So now I'm just this colour for good. That's great. Anyway, Gaz, how are you?
Great, thanks. Just recovering from a couple of days of working with school kids in a big production in South Wales. I say big production, for them it is, and like 14 and 15-year-olds doing like music workshops, and then they all do a big performance. I missed the workshops this time. I do it every year, but I was away this time. But I come in for the final show, and it was cool because it's like giving sort of young people. It's a fairly deprived area where it takes place, and we give them this like full experience where we do like kind of songwriting, then we do recording, and then we do this big performance, which is actually in the form of a competition in this in the Pontypridd Muni, which is a nice theatre there. But it's great because we kind of give it the full lights and smoke machine and lasers and big video screens either side of the stage, and try and make it like a real rock concert experience for them. It was wonderful, and just the quality of the musicians is just phenomenal, and just these are 13, 14 to 15-year-olds, and some of the players are just unbelievably good. And I was thinking about this. In fact, we were having a conversation yesterday about it with some friends, and it really is a lot to do with YouTube now. Young people can just learn things at an incredible rate, and they can just look things up on YouTube. They know where to look now and how to find out things.
Oh, is that what you've been experiencing, right?
Yeah. But you just can't. I mean, we're flabbergasted at the quality of these players. They're just, and there's a huge PA rig in this. It's like a proper gig, and they're really playing well, playing tight, and it's a great experience.
That sounds really good fun. I actually went to see my daughter in the class assembly this morning, who was sat on a golden throne, being one of the narrators. So I'm full of joy here as well. So that was great. Anyway, Gaz, thank you very much for joining us. Songsurgeon.co.uk for more information about Gaz. I'm sure he'll be updating his website soon, probably. Maybe.
Oh, it's offline at the moment.
Okay. I take it.
Mobile Me. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this. They've killed Mobile Me and we're just taking my website down.
Did you not get the data off?
Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Anyway, moving swiftly on to Mr. Dave Spears, who is, that's not that button. It's this button here. Dave Spears, GForceSoftware.com, who's busy swatting away in his well, what would we call that? We call it his synth grotto, I would say, by the looks of it from here, on all sorts of software products, one of which being the Reason Rack extension, and I'm sure there are other things too. How are you, Dave? You well?
No.
Oh, good.
No, I'm all right. I did go. Do you want to hear a really funny story? I went to the doctor's, and my cholesterol is mental. You've got good and bad cholesterol, and I've got like loads of bad and not very many good. So today I've avoided any alcohol, and this is like hot water and lemon. So there you go.
What would you normally be drinking about this time then? Gin and tonic?
Gin and tonic? No, not at all. I'd be coffeeed up to the hilt. So.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear you're not so. I had a funny week this week. I don't know if I might have mentioned it. I'm not shy, but I recently was done for speeding in a built-up area, like 3 or 4 miles over the speed limit. So it wasn't anything sort of disastrously sort of. So I decided to go on one of these speed awareness courses, which are, you go for half a day and you dread it. I've never been on one before, and I thought, oh God, it's going to be a nightmare. But what it means is you don't get any points on your license, and it doesn't affect your insurance stating. And so I went, and it was really good, actually. I thoroughly recommend anyone to go on one of these things, not to speed to get there, but and so anyway, I'm in there, and we watched the whole thing, and the first break comes at 10:30, so I go out to have a cup of tea. No biscuits, by the way, very disappointed. And a chap comes up to me and says, "Are you Nick? I'm a big fan of the podcast." It was like that's one of the most surreal places to be spotted, I think. So I want to say hi to Dave from Bath. I'm not going to say any more because he may feel uncomfortable with people knowing where he was. But hello, Dave, and nice to meet you. And thanks for saying hi. It's always nice to get that. But what's quite funny, there's an American chap there who is actually quite a famous actor. I won't go into it. He's been in like Bond movies and various some big Hollywood productions, and nobody recognised him. Hey! so I'm feeling really kind of smug and famous, but thanks to Dave. Anyway, yeah, it's a brilliant story. Anyway. Double win. No, it wasn't Tom Cruise. I'm not going to say who it was. It's not fair because you're not supposed to tell who. One of the first things they say when you get there is please don't say, if you know anybody, don't kind of, when you see them in town next, go, hello, I saw you at the speed awareness course, because you never know who they're with. They might not want them to know. So, please. Yeah. So I've already probably gone way over the mark there. So I should probably not say any more before.
Leonardo DiCaprio might be with his manager.
Yeah, he might be.
So which Bond movie was that?
I'm not telling you anything. You can I'm not going to say any more. Anyway, right. Let's go to our first topic, I think, which it has a video that I would like to play at the introduction. I love this. This is great. Does anyone think this might be a spoof? If you wait to see how long it takes him to get settled, you might think it is a spoof. All right, watch this. Adjusts. Yep, okay. I've got to get that right. Oh, yeah, and again. Oh, not quite. Yep. It's like reminds me of that Ingrid Malmsteen one. There we go. Yeah, he's going to play. No, he's not. No. Yeah. Anyway, I better not play anymore because I've been in trouble for putting stuff on, clips. But that was Eric Grossman performing the Chaconne from the Partita No. 2 D minor by J.S. Bach on a violin made by Antonio Stradivari in 1717. The instrument, one of three by Stradivari in the Metropolitan Museum's collection. That was, in fact, on the Metropolitan Museum of Art's YouTube channel. Is called the Antonius and comes from Stradivarius' so-called golden period, which is about 1700 to 1720. And this is, this instrument, God knows how much it's worth. I mean, it must be worth kind of millions of pounds or dollars or whatever. I mean, I don't know what, these are sort of priceless instruments, aren't they? And they say that, there's been all this talk about how it's to do with the resin or the wood that comes from alpine spruces that grew during the Ice Age. And others pointed out the all sorts of reasons why it might sound like that. But what's really interesting about this, at least I think so, is there was an article on Discover magazine's website, which I will show you here, which basically promotes an article that a couple of people, Claudia Fritz and Joseph Curtin. Claudia Fritz is a scientist who studies instrument acoustics, and Joseph Curtin, a violin maker, set up a kind of double-blind listening test. They got, during the 8th International Violin Competition in Indianapolis, they borrowed 6 violins, 3 of which were kind of these century-old instruments, combined value of about 10 million, and 3 that were made in recent years, and 1 that had only been finished a couple of days beforehand. Double blind tests. They took 6 violins and 21 players into a hotel room where they dimmed the light, and they made they made them wear goggles so they couldn't see exactly. They also went to the point they perfumed the the chin rest so it didn't smell old, and did all these things to kind of like fun. They just told people to play them and figure out what they thought of it all. And these players, I mean, these are highly skilled, highly trained individuals who, they were people who were, between 6 and 60 years experience playing the violin, were, well, not 6, what am I talking about? 20 years and 60 years playing the violin. And they all, almost to a person, didn't like the Stradivarius and couldn't tell the difference, which I thought was quite an interesting idea. I mean, first of all, I've never experienced any kind of particularly old instrument. I know, Rich, you don't have a particularly fond view, or you had a dim view to these kind of the idea that are vintage instruments. And these aren't sort of necessarily because they're owned by other people, but just the age of it and the kind of pedigree. I mean, have you heard?
Not in this case, I don't.
Have you ever
Not
heard?
when they're made of, materials that grew out of the earth.
Ah, okay. Well, have you ever heard anybody play, a Stradivarius or what's the other one? A Giuseppe Guarnieri del Gesù violin. I mean, I never have. I mean, I'm guessing they probably, are all going to be pretty good if you even get their hands on one, right?
Well, I don't know. I heard most of the first part of that, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody play a Stradivarius. But here's the deal. On any instrument in which you come in contact with the vibration or create the vibration, it's a very personal relationship that develops between you as a player and the characteristics of the instrument. So to hand a Stradivarius violin to 15 of the greatest violinists in the world, and in the first 10 minutes of their relationship with that instrument, ask them their opinion about it, is at best not terribly interesting to me, because it doesn't really tell me anything about the instrument. It tells me a few things about them, maybe, but ultimately it has to do with the way one develops a relationship with that sort of instrument. And those things don't happen overnight, and even with the best of them, it doesn't happen in 10 minutes. If you pick up any, whatever, Hendrix's guitar, or first of all, you sound like you, not like them. But second of all, it takes a while for you to get a sense of what they liked about it and why it would work for you.
Sure. I see what you're saying. I don't think they were being asked to. I think they were just being asked to kind of see if they could tell the difference. Not necessarily, do you think this is the best instrument? It was more to do with the kind of, do you think this is older?
They don't know what they would sound like on that instrument yet.
I suppose, well, maybe some of them would. I mean, some of them, presumably, if they're of that standard, would have the opportunity to play at least instruments with some pedigree and vintage, I would assume. I mean, I am making an assumption here, but I take your point about that. That may have been, maybe that's where it could be seen as rather flawed.
Particularly with violin.
Right.
Almost more so even than a brass or a woodwind instrument, just because you are so fully in control of that vibration and the way the thing resonates. Or when I say a violin, a string family instrument. Yes, of course, if you sit Yo-Yo Ma down with 5 other cellos and ask him what he thinks, he's going to develop an opinion about it in the short term. But that opinion, were he to live with any one of them over a period of months, would change. Either for the better or for the worse. But it would probably change.
No, I think that's actually a valid point, and that's something that they don't actually go into. I mean, they did say that there were the thrust of this article seems to be the esteem that's placed on perhaps the esteem that's placed on the Stradivarius violin is less about the triumph to age-old craftsmanship and more a testament to the ability to delude ourselves, which I thought was an interesting statement.
I must confess that I did not do the preparation this week, and I didn't see the article or the video, and I'm completely riffing on a subject.
That's all right. That's no problem. I wouldn't have it any other way, Rich, to be perfectly honest.
I just wanted you to know that. I'm not actually responding to the article because I haven't read it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Gaz, I know that that you. I mean, you like kind of instruments of a certain type of, if you're given something or something to play and you think, oh, there is charisma or what have you. I mean, maybe that Stradivarius instruments are difficult to get to know. I mean, that's also possible because I imagine as they become older, they probably don't flex and vibrate in the same way they did when you first bought them. But I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I thought the article is worth reading, Rich, because they did carry out the test in quite interesting circumstances. They quite, they were quite aware of the various criticisms. Yours wasn't actually mentioned at all, so that is an interesting point. But I think it's a really interesting subject because it taps into a much wider thing, doesn't it? It taps into this whole kind of thing, like that Ethan Weiner was maybe talking about with his Audio Myths workshop.
Yeah.
And, just sort of blowing up these kind of ideas that things, that these sacred things are just things from the past could never possibly be better bettered today. One of the people who was running this particular test was a modern violin maker. So I wonder, their motivation for doing it must be something to try and prove this point that modern instruments can certainly rival or even better things from the past.
And incidentally, there was one of the modern violins, it doesn't say whether it was one that he made, actually, which is an interesting point, was the one that most people felt immediately to connect with and thought was probably could have been the Stradivarius because of the I guess, for whatever reason. It
did make me think of something I was listening to on Radio 3 a while ago, which was they were ruminating on just how good Paganini was as a violin player. And I know it's a slightly different point, but I thought it was quite interesting. And apparently there was this piece of music that Paganini played that was the most apparently impossible to play. It was the most difficult piece of music that had ever been performed. And he managed to perform it at this... and everybody was just blown away that he did this incredible thing. That particular piece of music is regularly used as violinists' audition pieces for colleges now. So it's quite interesting just thinking that that this player from the past is so unbelievably brilliant, but people are using this apparent this unplayable piece as a audition piece. So different point, but
I wonder in way that it might be linked, in the sense that in the same way that when you focus on playing an instrument or doing something these days, one tends to be much more immersive. If you take sports, for instance, like tennis or professional golf or any of those things, or professional musicians, people immerse themselves to a much greater degree in the the ness of their chosen focus, and that's perhaps a bit less so back in the day. I mean, I'm sure perhaps if you were making making instruments, you had to be very highly trained or whatever, but you wouldn't have had access to certain machinery, so you wouldn't have been able to focus on other aspects so much as others. So I mean, the perception of it is going to change completely, but I think it raises the question. I mean, the thrust of it is basically we can't really tell the difference, and it's all about perception. So it's just as you say in the chat room, Rich, it's about developing a relationship with the instrument. I know, Dave, did you have any did this bring up any thoughts for you to you care to share with us?
Yeah, I'm really interested in this whole double blind thing, and I've been fooled several times. I think one of the things with this that I would have found interesting would have been if, let's say, for example, a couple of players played all of the instruments and the other violinists listened to it and went, that's the modern copy, or that's the original, that's the modern version. I think that would be quite an interesting experiment. And also, if they'd have played a Stradivarius in the first place, you do make a connection with an instrument, and I'm pretty sure that I could tell a Mini Moog from an Odyssey probably by the keyboard action.
Right. That's interesting. But then I think I was sort of alluding to that earlier. Maybe certain instruments are just easier to play. I mean, sometimes you pick them up, and also, I mean, I guess if you're given access to something like a Stradivari or Hendrix's guitar, say for instance, then you're going to sort of feel like you want to do it justice. But I mean, it's just as possible that you might not connect with it, and it might take you an awfully long time to master whatever it is that because I mean, didn't Hendrix use incredibly high gauge strings, for instance? I forget, either high or low gauge, I forget which
and that's
themselves make it quite difficult. It's the same, I take the tennis player thing as well. This is getting a little bit off topic, but sort of think, how do they? And somebody uses something that weighs kind of 2 pounds heavier than used to, strung like a kind of like a wire fence, and you just, how on earth can you work with that? I mean, it's really what you get used to, isn't it?
Yeah, and some people will make the cheapest, nastiest instruments just sing, like Rich said. Rich said that's kind of the way they play. We kind of had this a million years ago when I was doing those kind of MIDI file things, is that we were using these alternative controllers, and really the kind of vibe was, what would happen if you gave kind of somebody like Steve Hackett or Clapton a kind of clapped out old guitar? Would it still sound like them? And the truth was, it did. Even though it was a MIDI guitar, and even though it was triggering other sounds, it still had injection of character into it, which I found really interesting. I had a really amazing experience recently. We're just about to release this rack extension Tron, but we went to Streetly Electronics and we did ABs between the M-Tron and the original Tron, and it was brilliant because it was pure fluke. I was filming the whole day and I'd left the camera on, and there's a bit where actually the camera's pointing at Martin Smith, who's the kind of the main guy up there, or it might be John Bradley, who's the grandson of the original Mellotron guy. So he's basically doing an A/B test, and we're completely blind. And there's this moment where I think I got it right a couple of times, but actually what I was doing was listening to the mechanism, not necessarily the sound. I was listening for the kind of tape spooling mechanism. But after a while, I stepped away and I couldn't tell the difference. And I got it wrong because I was guessing it. And in fact, I've put that on the video for the Retron thing, because it is a really funny moment where your brain is trying to guess and you're getting ahead of yourself, and then you get confused. And that's why I love all this double blind stuff. I think it's the only way to really discern in some ways.
Excellent.
I've never experienced any double blind. The only tests I've ever been involved in have had to do with being in a room and listening to a set of speakers, and then you have certain assumptions about how they are, and only some things immediately sound right or wrong for whatever. So it's quite difficult to kind of understand how you do have to be quite scientific about it, and it does sound like these people were. But I mean, it raises some other interesting points, isn't it? About, I mean, I take your point, Rich, about the fact that something that makes vibrations you can have more of a relationship with rather than just sort of electronics. So but the idea that I mean, I think Gaz, you were saying that you got hold of some. There's a new set of Fender custom shop stuff, isn't there? Or what's it called? It's not custom shop. It's that they're making in China, right?
Yeah, when I was doing the opera in Paris, I needed a backup bass to put a GK pickup on as a spare bass, and because I was going to use the GK pickup, I was looking at low end stuff, and I went and actually. I found myself being caught out with a snobbery thing here, because I went into a music shop and and I went over to the Fenders, and I thought I was going to spend around sort of £500, and I looked at the first one. It was like a black jazz bass, and I looked at the headstock, and the thing you always do with Fenders is check out where they're from, and this one was made in China, so I just put it back. I didn't even play it. I just looked at it. I just thought, nah, put it back. I went over and looked at the Mexican basses, the Mexican Fenders. I was playing them, and I was thinking, these are horrible. And then I looked at the USA Standard, and I thought, oh, this isn't much better. And then I just sort of thought, well, let's look at this Chinese one. And it was lovely. It was better than the other ones. And I thought, ooh. And then, so I ended up buying it. And subsequently I've bought another two in the same range. Really, really good. They're the Fender Modern Players.
That's right,
but
yeah.
I think that the parallel in this particular story is this kind of expectation that sort of, things are better. Sorry, it is a little bit of a deviation, I guess, but I was thinking, oh, it's not a proper Fender because it's made in China. And, but my Apple Mac is made in China, and I don't think that's any less an Apple Mac than just catching me out being a snob, really, and just sort of thinking, so yeah, good. Check out those modern Fenders, modern player Fenders, anyway.
All right, that's worth a try. All right, well, an interesting article. It's over at Discover Magazine, discovermagazine.com blogs. So do try it out and see what you think. Oh, Gaz, are you reaching for it now? I mean, we can have a look.
That's one of them. That's one of them. That's a Telecaster bass.
All right.
Nice. Really good. Humbuckers. It sounds great.
Looks nice.
Yeah.
What does that do again?
What does it do? It makes the low notes, Dave.
Oh, okay.
It goes bum, 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 and stuff. All
I'll
those
get the
kind of
hang
things.
of this one day.
Anyway, I just thought it was fun. I think now we'll quickly just have a word from our sponsors, and so this is going to be probably the last you'll see of the 01V96, because I think Yamaha want to change the focus of. Let's see if that'll play. Hello. Yes, Yamaha can change the focus of their ads soon, so that'll be quite exciting. So this is the 01V96i. This is, in fact, Yamaha's latest compact digital mixer. I reviewed it recently and was actually very impressed. It's got all the features and functions you'd expect from a kind of I don't know, fourth or fifth generation digital console from Yamaha. I've been making them for a very long time. It's got really nice studio grade head amps, and that's one thing that I found I was able to add an awful lot of gain, particularly using ribbon mics, which are kind of something that I've just recently discovered and would swear by them, and usually they need a lot of gain, but I didn't get any noise. We've got 40 mixing channels, 16 analog, 8 digital inputs, 8-channel ADAT as standard, 16 I/O USB audio interface at 96K 24-bit, which is remarkable. So that gives you an extra 16 in and out that you can work into patching and cross-patching between inserts and all sorts of things. Very flexible system, and one that I wish I had some sort of audio I/O on my Yamaha DM1000 that I use here. But sadly, I'll have to wait until... I don't know, until I can afford an 01V96. But please do try one out. They do sound jolly good. You can go to a Pulse store in the UK, which is like a Yamaha store within a store. Try out some audio, plug a couple of mics in, take a listen, and check out some of the effects. Each channel's got a gate, compressor, EQ, so dynamics, and lots of routing potential. And if you're in the States, go to one of the larger dealers, try one out. I mean, they're not dirt cheap. But you are paying for what you get. You get a lot of functions and features in there, really high quality stuff. So I thoroughly recommend, if you're in the market for a new desk and perhaps want to think digital, well worth trying the 01V96i. Once again, thank you very much to Yamaha for their continued sponsorship of the show. Right, that's me back again. If you notice, I haven't gone red, or no redder than usual, because I fixed the colour balance on my camera. I'm sure there will be people who were in hysterics after last week's malarkeys with me pulsing and doing the scan. The scanner's reference went down very well on YouTube.
I showed Louise. She was roaring with laughter.
In fact, there was a couple of comments. There was a chap there, I forgot what his name was. He was in Japan. He said he was suffering from a cold and he's plugged his nose up with tissues and they both shot out. I don't know why that's come to me, but I just thought, it's... maybe I cured it in some small way. Also, we heard from, because M-Audio purchase is one of the really big stories from last week, I heard from Taiho Yamada, the Venom developer, who said, thanks so much for your kind words about me and the Venom team. Your concern for the whole M-Audio crew and the products we love to make is appreciated and far beyond my ability to convey. So that's really good that I'm glad he heard it, and I've just asked him a couple of questions actually to see what the score is there. So hopefully I'll have a little more information on that. But good luck to you and everybody, and thank you very much for listening out there. So what's our next topic? Yes, this is the Jamboxes. Right, I think I might play this because this is another web-based video. This is Moldover Strikes Again. So this is Glastonbury Festival for last year, where Moldover, who I think he released an album with a circuit board synth on it. He's built these kind of series of instruments that go into public spaces and allow people to play. And this is people at Glastonbury Festival just kind of riffing on this thing called the drum machine. And it just looks like great fun. It's all in sync. It's got some sort of LED, LCD display. And there was a couple of comments on this where people were saying, I was at Glastonbury, we ended up missing most of the bands that we wanted to watch because we were playing with this, which is a great testament. Right, I'll probably pause that now, if I get my mouse right, and come back to the panel. I know the one thing I really liked about this was the idea of these installations where everybody just got to kind of hang out and play music together, which sounds, it does sound a little bit like an obvious point, but actually, it's a great idea. Surely, Gaz, have you seen any of this stuff?
Not for real, but I was a bit not gutted when I saw that. But I'd really had the same idea. But it was amazing to see someone actually bother doing it. and doing it in that way where lots of people totally trolleyed off their heads can kind of come and not break it. I think that's a triumph of engineering. I think, yeah, it's great, isn't it? I mean, I think that side of things is so much fun. Electronic music, especially kind of, computer-based music, has been a very solitary thing by and large. So to kind of open it up to the, like a playable, interactive thing for many people, I just think it's wonderful. I love this. I thought it was really, really good.
I did have some other images which I seem to have misplaced. There are several items in his in the arsenal of what Moldova has to offer. He's been making these since 2005, and we've got the let me see. There's the Synco Master, which is a kind of the Octomaster, which is a set of keyboards that are in sync. That got various drum beats and sampling and mashup that you play between. There's a brilliant video which I think I've again misplaced, which is really irritating actually. So I think I've got the here we go. I think it's here. It's here. If I can find it somewhere, where people could just sort of jam along. There's one called the Synco Master and the Mini Masher, which is a tiny little. So it looks like it's something built out of Arduino, something like that allows you to kind of just sort of jam along with each other and change the sound sets. And what he's done, he's asked various artists to provide sample sets, so you can dial up, a set of sounds from somebody you perhaps like, and everybody can play along with. It just seems like such a brilliant idea. And there's this whole idea called Jamboxes.net, where they've got things like set up like the reactable and various things that and I'm sure, no doubt, the Schneider's Buero carousel might be there at some point. Dave, did you ever see the Schneider's Buero carousel, or have you seen anything like this in the flesh? It just seems like such a great idea.
I didn't see the Schneider's Bureau one in the flesh, but I'm with Gaz. I thought this was awesome. It's like a drum circle for people with shorter hair. Or perhaps
the acceptable face of drum circles, perhaps.
Yeah. And that whole kind of social aspect, I was like, it's like, it's that whole sociable music for hipsters. And what was really fascinating is when I was going through that, I've got it here, that Jamboxes.net was like, the things, I had very limited time to look at stuff, but what really appealed to me, the drum machine thing, I just thought was absolutely fantastic. Anything that looks like a fruit machine has got me sold from the day one. That's where all my money used to go as a kid. Yeah, but the ones that kind of didn't really do anything for me were the kind of that beat jigsaw, reactable. I kind of thought was, but they were the kind of less tactile things. And I thought that this whole kind of tactile group hug kind of vibe was really excellent. Yeah. I think he deserves an OBE, actually, even though he's not even British.
No, he's just the idea of going to festivals and just doing this kind of thing. And they obviously make them to a high enough quality. Oops, I seem to have frozen. Oh, there we go. Come on, there we go. The frame rate's coming back. They're building it, to survive a festival. That's no mean feat at all.
Yeah, definitely.
And just the fact that these things are available in sort of public space. It's been all over the place, actually. And I just really like, as your head calls it, group hug music in the chat room, which I think is actually quite an apt point. Just a brilliant idea. I know, Rich, have you experienced anything like this in the past? I mean, it seems to be that these things are becoming more and more prevalent. This idea of people being able to sort of jam together without, obviously having to learn a load of instruments. I mean, although I imagine there are people there who are skilled who gravitate towards it as well. But just the idea of people being able to experience what it feels like to kind of interact musically and make sounds that are relevant to, their knowledge of what they maybe like to listen to.
Well, strictly on the basis of your question, I've always enjoyed, like somebody compared it. I only heard like a very small portion of the last 95% of what went on in the last 10 minutes. Oh, but what I did hear was somebody use the word drum circle, and that is some kind of nice participatory event that allows people to make music together. I really don't even know what this topic is, Nick, so I really can't comment on it because I couldn't see the video. I haven't prepared it, and I couldn't hear any of the comments about it.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope we'll be able to bring you in with some wise words at another point anyway. But
I hope I'll be able to understand the next topic a little better.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, no problem. I understand. We have the problems of international travel and bandwidth limitations. But yeah, Moldover. If you go to jamboxes.net, there's a whole bunch of information on this stuff, and I'm guessing you can hire it. You can have it sort of at one of your events. I don't know if there's more than one of them, but it seems like it might be a really good idea. And I think there's something very pleasing about. It must be a very satisfying process to build something like this, then put it in a room and have a bunch of people kind of get off on it for 3 days and then sort of take it away again. It must be really kind of
yeah, for it not to be broken.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it must get broken, but I mean it just looks like a brilliant just a brilliant kind of fun thing. There's something very similar that they do at Music Messe, which is the Music for Kids Hall. I don't know if you've ever seen that. If you go downstairs, because you often see there's I'm sure I've spoken about this before. You get there are lots and lots of kids kind of wandering about on the walkways, but you never see them in the halls, and you wonder where they go. They all get bussed into this massive hangar downstairs, which is in one of the big unused halls for trade show. And there's a chap there, I forget his name now. We did a piece on it. It was in fact Schneider's Buero Andreas who said come and have a look, and he showed us. And he makes all these things out of like PVC piping, like massive, great twanging things and things you hit, and sort of huge, great sort of swanny whistles that are like 90 feet long and stuff that for kids just to play with, and it's absolutely brilliant. And he's just got a massive smile on his face. And I must admit, when I saw after the antidote of being blasted with distorted DJ riffs for loops for 3 days, going down there and seeing kids running around hitting things and just having it's just a massive antidote. And I imagine this must be equally satisfying. So yeah, jamboxes.net, check out Moldover. I just want to say also that was via Facebook by Matthew Miller who sent of that, so thank you very much. And in fact, during the summer or any time, please do send in any topics you have. You can send them in via Twitter, Sonic Nick, or any of the other Twitter handles that we have. Email them, sonictalk@sonicstate.com, or leave a comment on our Facebook page, which is sonicstate.com, I think it is on. I should know that on Facebook. Anyway, look, I'm sure you can find us if you look hard enough. Leave comments. We really do appreciate anybody emailing in any sort of comments and also just ideas for show topics, because after 275 shows, I'm starting to get a little bit. Sometimes I find it a little bit hard to remember what I've covered in the past and whether or not I need to look harder for topics, and particularly during the summer it's actually quite hard because there's not an awful lot of stuff that does get released, which is a little bit so it's a little bit harder. Although, having said that, there are a whole bunch of new instruments and sort of discounts on sound banks and all that kind of thing coming out in the summer. It seems to be a very software time of year. So I'm just going to introduce the next topic with a video. This is FXpansion's Etch, which I think is based on the DCAM synthesizer engine, which has a very sort of appealing, simple look to it. I've got to deal with audio MIDI, where you can buy this instrument for $99, which I'm guessing is quite a discount, whether it's a specific thing they've done for them. .38 filter types, all that kind of stuff. I think I'll stop there because I can. So, I mean, there's just so much of these deals around. I mean, and it's very interesting to, it used to be that we would, crave a new instrument or a new, just a new piece of hardware to kind of take us to a new creative level, and you feel like, all right, I need, something like this. It'll give me something to get my teeth into and I can start making things. But now there's just an enormous amount of instruments that are already out there where patches have become available. There's also the glitch loops by Sunshine Audio. There's a whole bunch, and there's also Native Instruments Machine and Micro have been reduced to $249 US dollars and $399. So, there's a lot of deals out there. I'm just wondering how. Is it just, can you get enough just out of a set of sounds? Dave, I mean, you design a lot of sounds. I mean, you must find, particularly when you get stuff in from designers when you outsource it as well. I mean, do you find that a bank of sounds can just get you there? That's all you need, or do you crave? Well, I can see you crave new hardware as well because you're surrounded by the stuff. But I mean, how is it enough? I mean, can you get where you need to go?
one sound can do it. Just one patch. I had one patch come in for this Retron, and I was just like, I lost probably 3 hours on it because it just took me somewhere else. So yeah, that's really. I mean, I haven't, to be honest. Summer's always traditionally a kind of quiet time of year, I think, for the MI business. So I think that's probably why you're getting to deals, getting to see deals. I don't really I don't really pay any attention to them, apart from I did see somebody giving away the free mini Moog, which kind of reminded me of that what's that spam email that went round saying if you see a link to download the new Nickelback album for free, whatever you do, don't click on it because it links to the new Nickelback album. That's kind of what was doing the rounds here. But yeah, and we get approached by various retailers, doing blowouts here and left, right, and centre. And generally, we kind of don't do those things. But definitely. I mean, if you're looking for a new toy, this is the best time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Gaz is looking like he might have something to say there. What is it you would like to confess, Gaz?
Yep.
You do.
Oh, my word. What is that? Is that the machine?
It is.
Wow.
Sort of big deal on it at the moment. And I've just pulled the trigger on Complete 8 as well, as it's half price. I got a Complete 6, so I've gone for the upgrade. So definitely worked for me.
Well, you get a ton of sounds with that, don't you? I mean, I was kind of thinking, well, I just want the library. Can I just have the 2 gigs of drum sounds? Because that's going to get me going somewhere,
Well, like Dave was talking about losing time to that preset. I mean, I've been losing serious time to this machine. Is excellent. But I mean, but it is mind-boggling about just how much, how many sounds are in there. And just to be honest, I've been finding the machine personally. I've been finding it better just sampling in things from my TC Voice Live, just singing crazy stuff and just then making kind of samples up and really enjoying manipulating them within the machine environment. But at the same time, the amount of stuff, and then when I haven't got Complete yet, it's going to come soon, and I'll install that.
Are you getting it on the hard drive, or are you having to feed the DVDs?
No, not the Complete Ultimate, just the regular one.
Right.
The Incomplete, I've been calling it. And it's I'm worried when I get it. Really, I'm just worried because it's going to be, half a
time
day to
black
install.
hole.
But
I just want to quickly point out, John Van Eaton in the chat room says he'll pay you $20 not to mention Nickelback again today, Dave. And any complaints yet by Happy Fun Team?
Oh, very good.
With a K. So I like that. So Gaz, I mean, are you finding it overwhelming? Sorry, that's not Gaz. That's not Gaz either. That's Gaz. Are you finding it overwhelming having such an influx of sounds? I mean, would you rather, I'm thinking, would you rather have a couple of keyboards worth of great drum sounds that you can just kind of go, these have been sold as it, than, endless possibility?
Well, yeah, in a way I have. And the funny thing was that I was having before I got this, before the Native Instruments deal came out, which was the clincher, I was trying to decide between the machine or the Nord drum, which, very different sort of things. But with a Nord drum having, I know you can do quite a lot with it, but relatively few sounds.
No, it's not. I would say it's not the same.
No, I know. But I mean, in terms of having something with a restricted amount of sounds or having something with masses and masses of sounds. And I went for the masses of sounds thing. But I actually really like the idea of having few sounds. So I hope I haven't.
I mean, I suppose the thing is about something like Machine, it's not just about the sounds. The sounds are a bonus, but it's the workflow, isn't it? I mean, and because I agree. I mean, if you've got so many sounds that come in one go that you then have to spend 2 weeks figuring out what you want to use, then it's sort of it goes against the sort of point of getting something so you can get working on stuff. I mean, if you've got the time, that's fine. But I mean, you have to sort of maybe you have to ration yourself. So you have 5 minutes of sound. Of sound favoriting a day, so you could just go through and sort of select those things. Is that process easy on Machine?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and It is. I mean, because you can browse, and I don't know if you can add favorites from the actual machine itself. I think you'd have to do that with the software part. But what my thinking was I was just going to load it up with all the stuff of Complete 8. Because as of version 1.7 that's just come out for the machine, all of the Complete 8 presets of everything is available from the machine's onboard browser. So you got little filters and little knobs there, so you can kind of filter it. And my thinking was, in a way, that I'll just install it, and then that just is that. I can always come to the machine, and I know that there's always going to be just tons of stuff in there. And I don't know how much I'd be interested in a lot of those plugins without the medium of the machine anyway. I'm
interested. I mean, do you find that you could just pick it up and get going straight away, or are you wading through options before you can get started? I mean, how does it work in that sense? You've got it sort of naked, if you like, and I imagine you've probably not sat down and read the manual. You just want to dig in and get going with it, right?
I did a really naughty thing. I loaded up a playlist of YouTube videos of tutorials for the machine, and then because I had to do a lot of driving, I had it playing through my Bluetooth hands-free set of my car. With it
listening, obviously.
Yes, but with it sort of on my.
Say no more. I'm sure this could be used in court.
It wasn't. You've just come back from that.
There's a course for that.
Yeah, I think I'll see you on the next one, guys. I just want to also say, Flux302 says in the chat room, if anyone ever needs help learning machine, don't hesitate to hit me up on Facebook or Skype. I enjoy teaching it and will be in a machine camp in Atlanta in September. That's Flux302. That's a very kind offer. Maybe Gaz, if you need to get a little bit of extra info, you can ask Flux. Who knows?
Wow. That's cool. I mean, I do. I must hasten to add, I was just listening to those tutorials.
Well, that's acceptable.
And I actually bought the Mac Pro video tutorials for it.
Did you use our coupon? I hope you did.
Oh, is this still valid?
sonicstate.com/MPV if you want to download any Mac Pro video tutorials, and you get 20% off, and we get a few quid as well.
Oh, sorry about that. No, but I've only bought the first one of the 3 tutorials that they've done for Machine. But it was okay. It was okay. I think the Native Instruments tutorials were actually better, but for the Machine itself. But actually, Machine, it's a breeze. Actually, you do get it quite quickly, and sort of think this is that lovely marriage of software and hardware, and yeah.
Nicely done then. Okay, I'd still like to check one out. I haven't really had an opportunity. Something that is so, because I'm never really a drum machine guy, so the idea of getting a drum machine in just sort of makes you think, well, it's not my natural way of working, so it's going to be kind of a bit alien to me, I guess.
Well, as you know, Nick, I'm a big advocate of not using the monitor screen, really. So
right, so it sort of fits in well with that, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I know, Rich, how much of this you are able to hear or respond to, but I thought I'd come to you. Have you seen anything that you like the idea of as an impulse buy for summer sounds?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. Try again.
Have you seen anything that you an impulse buy that you'd like to get for a bank of sounds or one of these summer discount deals?
Well, we just before I left, Niall and I had been talking about getting Machine and Tractor, and he asked me to pull the trigger on it. I was tempted to wait through the summer. He wanted me to pull the trigger. I pulled the trigger. We got both delivered just before we left, put them away, left for the road. And don't you know, a week later, the list prices dropped by like 40%. So, well, I'm not worried about it, because either they're going to price compensate me to the new price level, or I'm going to just send them back, because I haven't even taken them out of the box yet.
Right.
But those are 2 things I'm interested to get good on and see if they can affect my workflow in a positive way. Because those kinds of devices make possible certain things, and make actually certain things very easy to do that are kind of complicated to do in a linear DAW setting.
Yeah.
And they allow you to interact with the music in ways that sort of setting doesn't really stimulate in the same sorts of ways. So it's real. I don't expect to be doing any parties with a microphone and waving my hands in the air like I just don't care.
Oh,
but I do
on.
want to get this thing. I want to get this technique under my belt and start to get good on these things and converse it in the way the software and hardware interacts.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're, I mean, because you're very much an in-the-box guy, now. I mean, from conversations we've had in the past, and certainly in terms of, the mix and the arrangement side of things, right? So there's a kind of desire to move away a little from that, or at least experiment in that, certainly where you're working, right?
Yeah, I'm looking to expand my ways of interacting with music. Very simply. And those look like some very interesting ways to interact with music. And I see people who have not terribly considerable, traditional music skills doing remarkable things on them.
It's interesting.
And so my mind goes to the idea, well, if they can do it, why can't a guy who has a whole bunch of training and has been doing this shit for a long time, why can't he come about and do this?
Yeah, yeah. There's some very...
And maybe I'll find a new way to use it for that will, inspire me and change the way I work. Who knows? That's
interesting. I mean, there's some great videos on YouTube. I forget that. I think it's M4 Sonic. I think we looked at one of them before. Where it was just an Ableton live jam where you can tell the guy is obviously... he looks like he's a trained pianist because of the fingering spaces he's moving the way. But he's playing this amazingly tight... sort of just sample triggering and sequencing in a way that obviously he's been able to do because of his training and be able to do. So it's an interesting area to explore, definitely. Not traditional.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Sorry, Gaz.
Well, I was just thinking, regarding what Nick was what Rich was saying then about learning the new system. Were you talking, Rich, about machine or tractor specifically, or both?
Both,
yeah, because they're quite different in a way.
Because they inspire you with different kinds of hardware interfaces.
Yeah, definitely. And I've definitely been finding that in a way, and it's just I think what I've been the music I've been making on the machine since I've got it is unlike any music I've ever made before in my life. So
is it banging techno, Gaz?
I'm making like a weird stuff. But I can just demonstrate one little thing though. I just realized I can do this. If I pull this down here, can you see that okay?
Yeah, great.
So all I need to do is I can just hit the browse button, and then I can hit the group, and then I can look for. I've got all my browsing. I don't think you'll be able to see the screen very well on there.
No, we won't.
No, but just being able to sort of just call up your sounds directly, step through them, and like so, I've got kits loading here. It's got the Abbey Road ones in there. Is that coming through?
No, but the lights look pretty.
Oh, that's better. Sounds like someone tapping on a keyboard.
Yeah, no, I think I can hear Rich typing, but I can't hear.
All right, I won't bother.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
I thought I'd be...
That's no problem at all.
Make a wicked Luke geezer.
But no, I think my audio interface doesn't.
It's not routed that way. Well, no, I'd be very interested to see what you make of it, and maybe next time you come over, bring it over, and I'd love to have a look and see how it all interacts together. It does rather neatly bring us to one of the last topics, which was kind of, they say you never stop learning, and so in that case, what was the last thing that you learned about music creation or engineering? Because I mean, that's one of the things that keeps me going. Certainly, perhaps more so about how to do this kind of thing. The web production and to shoot reviews and present them and all of those kinds. Those are the things that really, really interest me at the moment. I'm just wondering, Dave, before when I called you up, there was some music playing in the background. I mean, do you still find that you're learning tips about programming, music production, those kind of things, as you go along, or are you reliant on your experience solely?
No, and you never stop learning, do you? Never, ever. I learned the other
Never
day
stop
to
forgetting as well. That's the
turn
other thing.
stuff down. Yeah, exactly. Which is why it's every day is a new learning experience,
Yeah.
particularly when you've got Alzheimer's. You just relearn the same thing over again. It's a C major. No, you never stop learning. That's half the fun. I learnt yesterday that somebody who's related to the band I'm involved with was asked to be the original Duran Duran singer, and I never knew that before.
Wow.
There you go. And I've been learning loads about abstract filmmaking in the last week, and that's nothing to do with music, but at some point it will dovetail with music.
Right.
Anything creative, all good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's the thing that keeps going. It's
God, I hate that phrase as well.
All
That's
good.
one thing I've learned today. Don't use the phrase "it's all good."
I don't usually, actually.
No, I never do.
I use lots of
did
other
that.
things instead. I begin sentences with "so." I've got really good at editing the "so" out of every time I turn to the camera for my next shot.
Oh, I tell you one thing. After last week's show, I bought PreSonus Studio One. That was on a special offer on the July 4th off price, I think it was.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so I've been learning that as well. But because I think everyone, I don't know if I've talked about this before, I do a lot of mastering. That's been one of my main breadwinner things really over the last 10 years. And I have to say, the mastering environment in Studio One is the best I've ever encountered, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you want to do mastering, and one of the things that's really good, if you'd done your projects within Studio One, if you'd done and then you don't actually have to mix them down. You just kind of drag the project file into the, into the mastering thing, and then if you want to make tweaks to, say you're working on the mastering and you've got all your songs in your album there, and you want to just tweak the vocal level of one song, you can just kind of go to it from the mix down in the master.
So does it render something for the mastering session, or does it actually?
Yeah. You don't. What happens is you can just leap back to your mix, adjust your vocals, jump back to your sort of mastering thing, and there's a little red light then on the track indicating that the original has changed, and then you just click it, and then it'll just bounce it down and reinsert it in exactly the right place in your
that's very
mastering
cool.
thing, which that is a great idea. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I haven't actually worked in that side of Studio One, although I might do. I will have a little dabble with it. It was for the mastering.
Right. So just get this straight.
mode.
You've got machine,
Yep.
and you've got studio, a whole new door to get on with. So your summer is going to be full of learning experiences, I'd imagine, because you've got a lot to get to grips with, right?
I'm always doing it. I'm always just getting things and then learning it. But I enjoy it. I do enjoy it. I do like sort of stretching my brain a little bit. But yeah. So I mean, just to sort of finish what I was mentioning there about the mastering side, though, when you then have your project on the go for mastering, it's just everything is just great. You can just easily render off a CD, but you can also there's like a button for sort of digital distribution as well, so you can kind of render it out in MP3s or whatever format you want. But I think it's just
what have you,
it's just really that side of things. So just for anyone,
they've really sort of got the kind of cloud and distribution side plugged in quite nicely. It's a very clever kind of integration.
That was it. Really.
I'd love you to show us around that. Maybe once you've had a bit more, you could do us a little thing on how the mastering might work. Perhaps that would be something. Then we could talk them into buying some advertising. Anyway, you never stop learning. I don't know, Rich, what did you learn recently? I mean, it sounds like you've got a whole bunch of learning to do if you're going to be getting machine and tractor anyway. So, but I mean, you must be coming across.
Well, that's next. But today I learned at rehearsal how to record through this new little rig I've created for this project. I'm touring now with this MacBook Air that I just got, and I've got a Mo2 Ultralight Mark III interface that I'm using, and a Lassie Thunderbolt RAID drive.
Ooh.
And today at rehearsal, they reached a point where they needed to record something, and the guy at the front of house launched Logic, and it started polling his AU folder. And so after about 2 minutes, I walked to the back of the room to find out what was taking so long. And I saw where it was at. And it was like in the first 5% of the folder. And I said, send 2 audio lines up to me. And I went back and I configured the inputs to this Motu interface and threw the thing into record. And I was recording rehearsal for the rest of the day. It was great. So I learned how to get around this Motu thing that I brought. This was today's lesson.
That's great, isn't it? I mean, that's the interesting thing. I mean, once you kind of become... I mean, I find this all the time, or I used to find it when I was hired a lot more to fix stuff and figure out how things work. I mean, I have absolutely no idea how X or Y works, but once you have a grasp of it, you can usually figure it out. And that's the beauty, unless it's totally obscure, in which case it's not so much fun. But
oh no, this was dead easy.
Yeah,
it was wonderful. I was rocking, and actually, this rig completely rocks. I can't believe how cool it is.
Yeah, well, very jealous actually still, and my laptop is getting slower and slower and slower. But so my bank account is getting emptier, so I'm not sure I'm going to be upgrading my hardware anytime soon. But hey, that's just the way it goes. But
I just had an email update. Then Pure Magnetic have released the Simmons claptrap for iOS.
Oh yes, I saw that. That's free. I was actually quite excited by that because I love the claptrap. I've got had access to one and sampled it quite a lot, and I'm a really big fan of hand claps. There's just something about them. I just tend to use them, all over, and I make them. So I'm just the claptrap is a great device. I wonder if it's got MIDI or whether it's just got a big button on it and you can trigger it. But yeah. But yes, so that was something that I was hoping we could talk about in the next Sonic Touch, actually, because that's one of the apps I would like to check out. But anyway, I think we're probably heading towards the end of the show. I was going to talk about 5 essentials, but I think it's probably a bit late to kind of go there. Maybe we can do that next week if news is as slow as it was this week. I apologise if I've missed any news out there, but it's been very hard to find. But as I said, please do send any ideas for topics in. I can't guarantee you all use all of them or any of them, because sometimes I remember that we've kind of covered things, and so if you haven't listened to every single podcast and have a memory of it, as I'm blessed with, then it might not make it. But so you can send us a comment on Facebook, email sonictalk@sonicstate.com, Twitter us at Sonic Nick, any of those things. Use the web form on the website. But very much appreciate any input, and if you've got any comments, anything you'd like to suggest about the production of the show or whatever. For now, I think that's going to be pretty much it, and I'll leave Rich to. Rich presumably will be what do you do in Montreux on a Wednesday night, Rich?
Well, I have an option to go to the show. I don't even know what the show is, but I do have the option to go to the show. I don't know. Find some dinner.
Yeah.
I don't have any particular.
Say
plans,
hi to Roger Federer.
I've been running for 2 weeks. I mean, literally, the schedule over the last 2 weeks has been insane. So if I get a night with nothing to do, I'm quite cool with that.
Excellent. You can watch some crappy reruns on the TV and just look out over the water. Can you see the lake where you are?
I can see the lake where I am if I'm not in my room.
Don't set lights at a hotel.
Oh, God. Sage words indeed. And with that final reference to Smoke on the Water and Montreux, I think it's only fair that we probably bring the show to a close. If I had Smoke on the Water to play us out with, I would, but I think I'll just have to leave it for now. So I want to say thanks very much to Rich Hilton for joining us. Very much appreciate it. Have a great couple of days off, if that's what they transpire to be, and enjoy the show on Friday. And thank you very much for making the effort to join us via your hotel bandwidth troubles and everything. We much appreciate it. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Nick. Thank you.
No problem. And also Gaz Williams right there, back home in Bristol, where he's music producer, mastering engineer, bass player, all kinds of things. Thank you very much, Gaz, for joining us.
Yeah, I should have been mastering all day today, but I've been playing with the machine.
Well, you'll have to do that all night instead, then, won't you? So. Yeah, but anyway, thank you very much for joining us, Gaz. I look forward to speaking to you very soon and seeing how you get on with your new toys. And finally, Dave Spears over there, GeForce Software. Thank you very much for joining us as well. Always appreciated, and I'm looking forward to, as I'm sure you are, to getting your products out there and having a bit of a holiday, right? Yes.
Yeah.
In the meantime, enjoy your water with lemon in.
Oh, and I've just had some kind of oat cake with cranberries in it. Dude, I'm even going for a walk and stuff like that. It's like this new healthy me. Mind you, I'm going for a walk down to the burger van.
Yeah, down to buy some cigarettes and some more chip fat. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, Dave. That was Sonic Talk number 274. Would you believe it? And that was it for now. I haven't got anything to play us out with, so I'll just press stop.